Our memory verse for this week is Romans 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose. This verse fits very well with the story of Job. Job couldn't see God's love. He couldn't feel God's love. He couldn't prove God's love, but he could know it by faith because of the promises God had made to him. And that's why this verse says, we know that in all things. We can't prove it. We can't explain it. We can't figure it out. Sometimes we can. Sometimes you can see how evil ends up being for our good. You can see, oh, now that's how it works out. Sometimes 20 years later, like Joseph looked back and could see, oh, that's why I was sold into slavery and all this, so I could save my family and feed the world. But you can't always do that. So we have to just trust that we know it, not by experience, but know it by faith. And then this verse stresses it's in all things. So the good things, the bad things, the crazy things, the weird things, the nice things, the reasonable things, the devastating things. It's all things. And then who's doing the work? Not me. But God is working with the ultimate purpose of good, of blessing. And he's not doing it for just anybody. But according to this verse, he's doing it for his children, those who love him. And everybody who loves him, all his children, they also are been deployed. They've been put into a purpose, called according to his purpose. God has this whole big plan, this whole big puzzle, where he gives us his love in Jesus. And he has us be a part of it. And even the suffering and troubles that come through, God in his amazing, miraculous wisdom can weave it all together so it turns out great. With this verse, I kind of think of maybe somebody who's a baker. Somebody wants to make a cake, but all he has are bad ingredients, or a lot of his ingredients are bad. He's got some milk, but he's got some rotten eggs. He's got some chocolate, but he's got some dirt. Okay, he's got, and yet an amazing, miraculous baker can mix it all up. When he puts it in as a cake, when he pulls it out, it becomes a beautiful cake. He mixes it all together, and that's how amazing and miraculous our God is. And that's why it's good to know this verse, because when bad things happen to you or to somebody else, this is a verse of great comfort. So let's read it together, and then I'm going to click through and get rid of some of the words and make sure we can put this into our hearts. Read it with me. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. We got it. It's a great verse to know when times are tough. May this just fit in your heart for when you need it.